He drank. 6 seconds later, his smile disappeared. 7 seconds later, the sound he made wasn't human. The glass shattered. His body convulsed violently. A chair tipped. Red wine bled into the marble like an accusation. Someone screamed. Victoria moved instantly. Not hysterical. Not shocked. Precise. Call emergency services. Her tone was surgical. I knelt beside Arthur. Skin pale. Pulse erratic. This wasn't choking. This was systemic interference. Victoria checked his pulse, then looked at me. You switched them. Not a question. A calculation. Yes, I replied. She leaned closer. That wasn't for you. Sirens wailed in the distance. Guests backed away. Investors whispered. My retirement party had turned into a crime scene.
I was standing near the window when I saw it, not directly, through reflection. Glass shows truths people don't intend to reveal. Victoria's bat shielded the bar counter. Her hand moved subtly, too subtly. A small vial between two fingers. One drop. Clear. Controlled. Practiced. She didn't look nervous. She looked focused. That's what chilled me. My heart didn't race. It slowed. When you've built companies through cyber war contracts and hostile acquisition threats, panic is inefficient. I smiled, walked toward her, kissed her cheek. When she turned to greet a senator across the room, I switched the glasses. Arthur lifted the one meant for me. To Alexander, he declared loudly. Everyone raised their glasses.
He drank. 6 seconds later, his smile disappeared. 7 seconds later, the sound he made wasn't human. The glass shattered. His body convulsed violently. A chair tipped. Red wine bled into the marble like an accusation. Someone screamed. Victoria moved instantly. Not hysterical. Not shocked. Precise. Call emergency services. Her tone was surgical. I knelt beside Arthur. Skin pale. Pulse erratic. This wasn't choking. This was systemic interference. Victoria checked his pulse, then looked at me. You switched them. Not a question. A calculation. Yes, I replied. She leaned closer. That wasn't for you. Sirens wailed in the distance. Guests backed away. Investors whispered. My retirement party had turned into a crime scene.
Guests were escorted out within minutes. Security locked the gates. The bay outside was calm. Inside, everything had shifted. Victoria stood near the fireplace, calm, watching me the way a chess player watches someone who just touched the wrong piece. You think I tried to poison you, she said. You put something in my glass. Yes, she exhaled slowly. That was a controlled sedative. For me? For stability. I didn't blink. You haven't slept in 72 hours, she continued. You were going to restructure the board during your retirement speech. She was right. I had planned to announce something disruptive, transfer minority voting rights, remove Arthur from advisory leverage, reclaim strategic control before walking away. You drugged Reed to stop a speech? I protected the deal. Then she said something colder. My father agreed. Silence. That fractured everything. He what? He knows he overreacts under pressure. The medication was microdosed. Then it hit me. Arthur had a documented sensitivity to certain heart rate stabilizers. Drug interaction. I had switched the glasses. The ambulance wasn't racing for observation. It was racing against cardiac collapse. For the first time that night, Victoria's composure cracked. "You didn't account for his medication?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer. At 1:14 a.m., the hospital called. Critical but stable. A phrase designed to suspend reality. Victoria didn't cry. She simply nodded. "I need to make a call," she said. I went upstairs instead. My office still smelled like cedar and ambition. I opened the final acquisition documents again. Page 238. Clause 11.7. In case of medical incapacitation of advisory shareholder, temporary voting authority transfers to executive spouse for 24 hours pending stabilization. I read it twice, then a third time. If Arthur remained medically compromised, Victoria controlled his voting bloc. Combined with the investor consortium, she could override me. The sedation wasn't about preventing my speech. It was about triggering temporary authority. Acceleration, disguised as protection. I walked downstairs. She was on the terrace. "Yes, if he's listed unstable for 24 hours, authority activates." She turned, saw me, didn't flinch. "You always built strong systems," she said softly. "But you never checked who controlled the emergency override."
At 5:50 a.m., I reviewed shareholder logs. Something didn't align. Emergency board vote moved to 6:30 a.m. That meant quorum already secured, which meant they didn't need her temporary authority. They didn't need Arthur. They didn't need me. 6:02 a.m., Thomas Calder from Northbridge Capital called. "Alexander, you should join the vote." I thought Victoria was the contingency. She was, until 3:21 a.m. What changed? Arthur regained consciousness. Silence. He revoked temporary authority before medical classification finalized. He protected me. But Calder continued. He also disclosed the sedation plan was mutual. My eyes moved toward Victoria. "She didn't design the clause," Calder added. "Who did?" Another pause. "It was inserted through your legal office." "My attorney, Jonathan Pierce. 12 years of trust, late-night revisions, emergency addendums, language I signed without rereading. This wasn't her endgame. It was someone else's." 6:28 a.m. Board call begins. Jonathan already present. "Given last night's instability," he said calmly, "interim restructuring is necessary." "Using clause 11.7? I asked. "Yes." "Read the final paragraph." Silence. Paper shifting. Then hesitation. "It activates only if executive majority confidence falls below 60%. "And has it?" I asked. Pause. "No. Because between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., while Victoria believed I was unraveling upstairs, I had called 3 minority stakeholders. Secured reaffirmations. The clause couldn't activate. Jonathan miscalculated. The board vote collapsed. He resigned within the week. Investigation later revealed he had financial ties to a rival holding group. The sedation plan? Victoria's miscalculated maneuver. The clause? Jonathan's long game. Arthur survived. Barely. And confessed Jonathan had been pushing for protective language for months. Victoria and I didn't divorce, but we dismantled the architecture of blind trust. New legal teams, independent oversight, separate voting power. $52 million bought me retirement. That night bought me clarity. Here's what I learned. The most dangerous betrayal isn't emotional, it's structural. It hides in clauses, in signatures, in moments when you're too exhausted to reread page 238. I sold my company, but I never sold my awareness again. And sometimes, survival isn't about switching glasses. It's about realizing who handed you the contract.